Yeah.
And so I'd mix from one mix CD to another, and that's how I kind of learnt how to mix. And I just had them in my room, and that was about, the year 2000 to about 2003, where I just had them and taught myself.
And just like knuckled down, just like, I want to do this and just get into it kind of
and
thing.
did more parties. So at that stage, out of high school, I'd start to DJ parties. So 21sts, and I was 21 at the time, so I'd have lots of mates parties, and we were all in the western suburbs area, so there was all those private schools and girls' schools, guys' schools, and I was doing all those parties. So yeah, that's kind of how it started, from the music side of things. I didn't know about the DJing side of it until I was like deep into the music first.
Yeah.
And it kind of evolved that way. I think I don't know 100%, but it seems like people get intrigued by the DJing first, and then like, I want to DJ. Yeah. And then the rest comes, the music.
Well, I 100% agree as well. It's kind of gotten towards like, it's like superstardom in a way. Like these days, it's like, like you see Marshmello and Fortnite kind of thing. So I want to be like that. And it's like, it's becoming more of an image, kind of like a brand in a way. But we can go into that a little bit later and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's it.
But like, you go on, sorry.
Yeah, the DJ was never really the main event. When I learnt to DJ, it was like you were in a room, club, whatever room, and you just added value to the event. The spectacle was never kind of about you. It's like you have a room and the DJ's part of that room. So you've got the bar, the DJ, crowd, and it was never kind of like any... Oh, excuse me, I don't know if respect's the right word, but it was just like it was an element to the night. Yeah. And there were a lot of other parts.
Yeah, it wasn't just the main focus of the night kind of thing, yeah. Well, that's what was so good back then as well, because it's just like, it's the atmosphere. It's just going out and having fun. Just going out to a place and just getting loose and getting drunk and this and that and just having a good time kind of thing. But it still is that. But then it's a lot, as I said, like it's a lot more of like, this DJ's playing here, let's go check him out. And
it's funny you say that. Another DJ came, I was talking to them the other night, and they said, don't you reckon the crowd's just different now? Like, don't you reckon the crowd's changed? And I'm like, no. I think the crowd's the same. If anything, you've changed, or the DJ's changed, but the crowd is still the same crowd. If you think about it, and in terms of what we've been talking about, that's the element. They're still the same people. They're still off chops. They're still going out to have a good time, and you're assisting with that. But that time, like early 2000s, going out was such a great time to go out, because places like Metros had international DJs like all the time, and that was when the big super clubs were touring, like Gatecrasher, Ministry of Sound, Creamfields. That would be like the headline event, and they would travel around, kind of like a mini festival. So they'd go to cities and bring all these headlining DJs, and you would go there for the brand. So Ministry of Sound, and then you'd get the DJs under that banner. Or Creamfields would be coming to town, and UK DJs would come, and you'd go to that. It was a good time, like turning 18 to like 25, that time.
It was just like the prime time almost in a way as well.
It was like early 2000s to 2005 was such a good time for dance music.
Well, it's just like the evolution, the way things kind of changed, and I guess you could say it's like it's not more noise, because it's still the core heart of it, but then like for example, like dubstep has changed to being a bit more rhythmy, noisy kind of thing, but it's still good to what people like in a way. Yeah. But it's just like it's just modified over time.
That's the cool thing about like the genre of dance music, is like the umbrella just captures so many subgenres, under that electronic dance music kind of heading. Vibe. I mean, you got dubstep, and it's funny because it seems like it's this perfect circle, and it's just constantly evolving. Like different subgenres are in the limelight in different years. Like for me personally, like a genre I couldn't stand was tech house, and just the minimalism of it, and
it's just like it's the same.
That's right. When it first entered the the revolution of the circle, I'm like, this this is not dance music. What is this? But then when it's done a full circle, and maybe I've got a bit older and matured, it's like, this is a vibe, you know, and you understand why everyone likes it.
Yeah, see, a good friend of mine has also said to me where it's like, you know, when you're younger, you like the more harsher kind of stuff, but as you get older, you kind of just like, not the minimal kind of thing, but just like more of a, just a vibey kind of stuff in a way. Like,
Yeah.
But like, it just depends on, you know, who you are and what you're into and the whole lot, I guess. Like, you know, it's not evolution, but it's like, you know, it's the progression of like what you can get in and out of, I guess you could say.
Drum and bass is another one where, you know, for a while, in the early days, you'd have DJs like Greg Packer, and they were playing drum and bass to a niche market of people. Yeah. But now you've got the kids going off to Mackie G, like,
like
it's the only music around, you know, and it's like, it's such a cool ecosystem, the electronic music ecosystem. It just caters to everyone.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. And that's what's so good about it. It's like, because the subgenres are kind of like, people can find their niche now.
That's right.
And then they can find their tribe in a way as well. And then it's like, they can just like, I think mitigate's the right word, but it's just like, just hang out in that kind of sector, you know?
Yeah, you're right.
Because, you know, it's, you know, like with the revolution, like, so like for me, like one of my favorite genres at the moment is it's electronic jazz kind of thing, but it's not electronic jazz. But have you ever heard of someone called like Parov Stella or anything?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's been around like, a long time.
Exactly. It's like swing jazz.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I found out the other day, like apparently it was huge over in India and like Eastern European countries, but it never really like, did it ever, like, you've got more knowledge than this.
Yeah, well, I've definitely got quite a few of his tracks in my collection. There was another artist, Grammar Finedzi.
Yeah.
There was a track he put out which kind of went mainstream. And it sampled like an old, it was obviously a sample from a while ago. Yeah, I think it went like, You Had a Plenty Money, 1972.
Yeah. And
she's it's a female vocalist, and then it goes into that like jazzy 128 beat with a trumpet or trombone, and it's a cool vibe.
It's a niche kind of thing.
It
right?
is, yeah.
And it's like, it's in today's day and age. It's
Mr. Scruff is another one.
Yeah, Mr. Scruff was
of that kind of.
He was really good. He actually came to Badlands Bar, not last year, the year before or something like that. I think he sold out.
Do you remember that? Yeah, because I was going to say Mr. Scruff was in every copy of
Microsoft Windows.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, he was.
It's like XP or something like that. One of his songs was like stuck standing like that.
Like how we got the U2 album.
Yeah,
it was called Ninja Tune.
Apple that
yeah,
time.
exactly. Or Gorilla's Demon Days when, you know, they made the very first iPod.
It was Ninja Tuna.
Second or third. Yeah, that one.
Every Windows copy of Windows 7.
So that was like the
was it
track you get for Windows Media Player or something?
Yeah.
To try out.
Exactly, yeah. And he would have made so much money off that. And then, like I said, he came to Badlands Bar like the year before the whole COVID thing. But then, so with like Ministry of Sound and all that sort of stuff, like, how was your progression? Like, so you learn on the CDJ 100s and you, like, you know, you start doing house parties and stuff, but then what happened after that kind of
so
thing?
I kind of thought I wanted to learn how to professionally do this, and kind of what entailed being a DJ. So I wanted to learn all of the facets of the business side of things, and also like, it sounds a bit weird, but the personality side of things, what you'd need to do with regards to liaising with people, what being a DJ would entail. So I joined a company, Power Music, and learnt all of that. And I guess as a young person, you just wanted to go out and do bars and clubs. But they wanted you to learn all the function side of things. So for a while, I would pick up the gear, big heavy ass table and big amplifier and massive speakers, and do more parties, do more weddings, or start to learn how to do weddings, which was, you know, I'm glad I did that because it got me the business knowledge.
That's it, yeah.
And the like organization side of it.
Exactly, and like the people skills as well.
Yeah, that's
almost, right.
So, you know, meeting clients before the gig, going to be part of their big function, and kind of you know, the thing about DJing is it's live. You don't get another chance.
That's it, yeah.
So learning how to roll with the punches, work on the fly, knowing like you've got to do the best you can now. It's not the kind of work you can put off to the next day. You've only really got one chance to do the best you can. And I think that even transcends to now, which why I still get a bit of anxiety even to today before I go up there, because part of you knows like you don't get another shot.
That's it. You can't stuff it up. You want the gig again.
Yeah, and you can't. Yeah, you can say to yourself after, oh yeah, it wasn't my best set or whatever, but you go into it knowing like, well, I can't just have a crappy day because it's going to reflect on my performance. It's live work. Yeah. You know, when someone's on air on the news or something, and she makes the anchor makes a fuck up, you're like,
yeah,
you remember that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
You carry on watching it, and you're like, yeah, you messed up those words back there, though. You know?
Well, you've been doing an interview on a podcast with DJs.
Yeah. So
that's it. So I learnt that side of things, which I think was really helpful. And from there, I started to do bar work. So Western suburbs.
Was that like an easy transition kind of thing, almost?
I knew the technical side of things, so I knew how to beat match, I knew how to program, and I had all that function experience beside me. But then, you know, when you're in a bar, it's a different kettle of fish.
Exactly,
it's different.
Yeah, completely, like just different area, different.
That's it. Yeah. So, and I still think today there's too much emphasis on the technical side of things. I think DJs think that the technical side of things is the most important. It's kind of like the finishing touches. Like I think programming and personality would have to be, or presence up there would have to be number one, like one and two. Exactly.
Like if you're not dancing and having a good time, then they just look at you and be like, well, right. He looks like he's having a bad time. I'm gonna have a bad time.
That's right. I mean, and the technical stuff, I mean, it's very hard for us as DJs. If we go into a place, we're automatically alert for the technical side of stuff. If a DJ messes a mix or is out of match, we're like, oh, I heard that.
Yeah,
we're onto it. So it's very hard for me to go out and have a good time when another DJ's playing.
Yeah,
because you're thinking of what's happening. You know, what's happening in the bar, what's happening with the crowd, what's the vibe, what is he doing programming wise, how is he technically, how did he get the gig.
It's just like another level. Instead of just being a punter, it's kind of like you're being an analyst kind of thing.
Yeah. So like thinking back then, oh, well, I've got this technical ability. That's going to just be the saving grace forever. You know, I'm good technically. But, you know, you soon realize it's not about that. It's about the networking side of things and knowing people and being friendly.
Yeah,
you know?
And working the crowd kind of thing.
That's right.
Because one thing I wanted to mention as well is like if you were doing weddings back in like, you know, 2000 to 2000 whenever kind of thing, like you can't just do what you do these days where you just, okay, I'm just going to get my MacBook Pro and just buy the song on iTunes and drag and drop, or, you know, do this or do that. I mean, sure, if you're on USBs, you know, you can't really do that. But like if you're at a wedding and they like request something, well, you can just buy it on the fly in a way, you know,
that's right. Yeah,
makes it so much easier.
Back then you couldn't do that. You'd have to burn the CDs.
That's it.
You have to burn the CDs
I don't
before
have that.
the function.
Yeah,
and that was like, with regards to building a catalog, it was very difficult back then.
It would have been. Yeah,
you'd have to have this massive CD wallet, and you'd have to print out the track list every time you burnt a CD.
That's it, yeah.
Otherwise you wouldn't know. And I remember even I played, I think it was 2013, where they just had Serato was, it might have been, no, it was before then. I think it was like late, maybe 2008, 2009. I could have been late, I can't remember. Anyway, I was playing at Lost Society in the city and was using CDs. And I remember, you know, there's a dance floor and stuff. And I just remember, you know, peak set, you'd be flipping through the CD wallet, trying to remember what track was on what CD while you got a dance floor going.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have to do that. You know, and even before that, I would played with like Danny Boy and Scooby and DJ Sosa or R&B DJs was records. They would all play on records. So you'd have to have your crate laid out or know where the records were in the crate. During can you imagine? Can you imagine now where you're just scrolling through your USB on a playlist you've created that day, or you're using a playlist that works, so it's just a go-to. Imagine not having that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and but just having to search through your crate and be like, oh, okay,
the CD,
I didn't bring it with me.
The track would run out sometimes just because you'd have no time to find it.
Yeah.
You'd just be scrambling.
And that's it. On like CDJ 100s as well, if you pull them back up, they don't have a loop function, do they? Like,
no, they don't.
Yeah,
they don't.
And like that would have been like, did you ever use like what was the equipment you used at like places like Lost Society and stuff like that?
So before CDJ 1000s, the standard a lot of the time was the Denon rack mount.
Really?
Yeah.
Denon
so it was kind of like, we could probably pull it up, man. Like Denon rack. Well, this one here, that's the jog wheel, so that would change like the tempo, but it would only work in like CDJ mode.
Yeah.
So like there was no vinyl mode. You can't emulate that like, a record. That would just slow down the tempo.
Excuse me.
It'd be DJ. You'd have to go Denon DJ.
Right. Apologies.
So yeah, that's the one with the red and green.
This one.
Yeah, that was.
What is that?
That was the standard.
That was the standard back then.
Yeah, 100%.
What standard was it? What standard were you guys playing at?
Yeah.
So you'd load the CD in the bottom there, and then you would control it through that interface there, and it'd have this cool feature called pitch bend, where you probably can't see it there, but it's like a plus and minus button that you would push the plus to fasten up the track so you could get the mix going, and you'd push the minus to slow it down. And it's surprisingly really cool. Like you could be out of time and push that plus and be in time. And remember, there's no jog wheel, so that was your way.
Yeah.
With the CDJs, you would speed it up or slow it down. You'd be doing that with a plus and minus.
Just keep tapping.
Can you see it here? Are you talking about this thing right here?
Yeah, that's pitch bend plus and minus. Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
Wow.
That's incredible.
So that would be your speed up, slow down.
Because we've got that on like Tractor and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure Serato would have that, but like to have it like analog like that back in the day, like that would have been so cool.
That's cool, yeah.
Like just adds the level of skill to it. So what do the numbers do in the middle then and everything then?
Are those just CD tracks?
That's I don't know. What
was that for playing? It says clean.
Yeah, I don't remember
preset, monocode, memo. Yeah, things look
never
ancient.
learnt what that was. Just got told the basics. Even now, they just released the Pioneer 3000, and I thought to myself, I'm just going to use the same 3 buttons that I've used my whole life DJing, like play, pause, and track search, you know?
So if it works for you, it works for you, right? Like, if you can pull it off, you pull it off,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, that was the standard. That was the standard. Surprisingly easy to use.
Well, it looks pretty simple.
It does.
And there was, with headphones, like, how would you listen to...
Oh, well, you could plug headphones in there.
Okay.
Can't see the...
And you could just listen to what CD was coming up and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And then...
Damn.
Yeah, you'd have to put your CDs in the front there, and
so that was most clubs and like.
Well, one of the first major bar gigs I got was the Claremont. It was called the Red Rock back then, and they had that as standard. And I remember learning on that.
Holy shit!
And I didn't have one to learn on. You just go in there, and because you're kind of familiar with the gear by then, I mean, it's if you
Yeah, play, cue.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you can see with the Pioneer, it's quite similar. So and they had that as part of their standard setup. And well, if you didn't know it, was tough. You didn't play on it. Yeah. You don't get to choose,
And so, like, your progression after that, then, like, what happened? So you started playing at, like, places like Red Rock and like Lost Society and stuff like that, but like
Lost Society was probably much later, but in those days was like the Albion, Red Rock, a lot of parties and weddings. I'm trying to think of where I played regularly back then. I don't
too long
remember.
ago,
It was
yeah.
a long time ago. But then, yeah, a lot of kind of no real residencies, just
Yeah.
a lot of work. But nothing I can remember up until like, about 10, 15 years ago, I started to play at Red Sea, and that was like my first.
Like in Subiaco.
That was my first kind of long-term residency. I played Saturday night closing set.
Was it any good?
For
How
about
was
2
it?
years. Yeah, that was heaving. That was big. That was like the gold bar days.
Yeah. Way back in the day. They've just brought the gold bar back as well, which is interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so that was probably one of the... before that... No, that was probably the first really long-term residency that I remember. But the thing is, I probably got a bit of a shot memory regards to it because I've always had like other work going in line with my DJ career. So it's kind of like, it's always been a supplementary income some of the time and a primary income some of the time. So I think... Yeah, I don't really...
You're getting it mixed up with your day job a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think so. But that was that was the first, I guess, memory of like, wow, this is like the, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, this is the product of all my experience leading up from all my, networking, contacts, technical ability, leading up to this residency, which was... awesome. That was the place to be.
Yeah, that would have been great. Like,
a guy named Washington used to do the whole night, and then he kind of like, I got in there, did a few gigs. It's like, what would you think about doing the close? I've got to get up on Monday and go back to my construction job. I just can't do it. I said, yeah, all right, I'll do it. So yeah, I just started doing the close, and that was heaving every week. Saturday it was heaving. That whole
Subi, that place,
that was like Llama Bar. Red Sea Gold Bar. It was the place to go. The footy was on as well there, so it was just
as soon as the footy was over, everyone just go and hit the pub, right, or hit the club. Yeah.
And that was kind of like when house music and became commercial. You like to... I think back to the song that did it was like Black Eyed Peas, I Got a Feeling. That was the song that made dance music, house music kind of mainstream. Yeah. In my opinion, that was like the crossover where...
I can get behind that as well,
It kind of turned the underground scene into like, okay, this is now accessible music. It's like a fusion of bit of hip-hop, because before house, it was hip-hop. Like before the era of those dance clubs, it was just hip-hop clubs. Northbridge, there was Varga Lounge... There were other... I don't remember many of the spots. There was... you could go to the casino. Yeah. Ruby Room was a massive R&B hip-hop night. And so that... Metro Super Club was an R&B hip-hop night. So, really? Yeah. That was massive. Before kind of house music, mainstream house took off. But it was R&B hip-hop.
But it's just so whack as well, because it's like, R&B hip hop, and then it's gone into house, and then it's like we're kind of going back into house again, I guess you could say. Yeah. Like you said, we're doing like a revolution.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like a circle, and it's just genres come and go, but they get their spot in the limelight.
That's right.
And then they kind of disappear for a bit, and they sit on the back burner. But then, because Perth is such a weird place musically in a way.
It is. It's very unique. I mean, you can look at both sides of the coin for it. A lot of people that would come here would think this is a pretty shot scene, it's not really thriving. But then other people would come and go, this is a very unique, cool scene with a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, and it's just almost like a mixture of it's a mixture of everything in a way when it comes to the pubs and the bars kind of thing. But when it comes to the clubs in a way, it's just like kind of our... because drum and bass has been such a prominent thing for a long, long time, but once again, it had its peak, and then it's like not died off a bit, but it's just like it's in the circulation with everything else. Yeah, and it's just like how house is now the new thing, and tech house is back, and it's just like the sets I play now. If we were talking about this like 10 years ago, and you said this is the kind of set you would play, I would just say get lost. There's no way that would work. It's such now an eclectic set of like multiple genres within the same like 4-hour set.
Exactly, yeah.
That just is very unique in a way, but also is kind of popular. You know, you've got to be diverse in how you deliver the music, especially in the big venues now, because I think the crowd, and the crowd has evolved to be this way a bit, but it's fickle in a way, whereas you've got to be quick in and out of your songs, otherwise you kind of lose them. Yeah. But it's also like, I heard Greg Grizzly play at the court once before I got on.
Shout out to Grizzly.
Yeah, and he was in and out very quickly, and there was those Italian brothers, Franchini brothers or whatever. Yeah. I heard them play at Magnet House, and these guys are in and out like 1 minute 30 into the next song. I mean, that's cool. That's really cool to see that, because there's a lot of programming and there's a lot of like thought that goes into that.
Exactly. And it's like you're doing it on the fly, but then it's like you've pre-programmed it, but at the same time it's just like you're putting your own unique spin on it.
That's it. And it really, like, as a punter, you have no choice but to keep going, because you're getting the best parts of every song really quickly. So it really is high energy. With that creates, I think, the downside of that is it's like you have to be high energy or you're going to lose the crowd.
That's exactly
it. So end-to-end mixing is it doesn't fly anymore. You can't play end-to-end. You can't play intro to outro and expect to have any kind of vibe. Whereas 20 years ago, you know, the crowd is just peeling off chops and they came just for that.
Yeah.
You know, and if you did mix out quickly, they would come up and say, what are you doing? Like, why would you not let that play?
Yeah, like let the whole thing play out kind of thing, yeah.
But now you're like out, as soon as the first chorus is done, you're like on the out, or you're just dropping one part of the next song, which is like the peak part, and then you're like straight out. So I like that. A part of me likes that, and I like that it's evolved to that a bit. But the flip side, like I said, it's a bit frustrating sometimes, because you're like, fuck, 2 minutes, I got to already think about changing the song. Otherwise, I might lose the crowd. That's the reality. I mean, people might think otherwise, but you got to.
I honestly think it's like what I said before about, you know, how Marshmallows, like, you know, and Fortnite and this and that. It's like the popularity behind it, where it's like you said, it's like it's a technical skill kind of thing, and being able to like go in and out of tracks just quickly as possible kind of thing. Yeah. It adds this like, damn, he's cool kind of thing. Like you can just hear, like, you know, it's just ever changing instead of playing a whole 5.5 minute song kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you remember Girl Talk?
Yeah, Girl Talk. Yeah,
with the mashups and the layovers and shit.
Yeah, and the video clips for those were amazing. Like,
I think he came to Perth.
Yeah, not too long ago, actually.
Maybe that was a good inspiration for DJs.
Maybe.
Because, you know, that layering and in and out and bootlegs and mashups, that style, a lot of the DJs in these big places are doing that style, in and out. It's cool. It works.
Yeah.
But it's very high energy, and you need like 1 billion tracks in your set.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, your set, you know, like peak set would be, you would think, oh, well, whatever, 100 songs. Now you need like 200 songs to make sure you're covered, you know? But yeah, that's that seems to be where it's at now, and that's cool. I mean, that's cool. I mean, people want to hear the hits. They've always, in a way, wanted to hear the hits.
But now they're getting them.
They are, yeah.
I was going to say, like, you've been doing this for a long time. Have you seen like an evolution? You said before the crowds haven't really changed, but you said before, if you wouldn't play songs out and you do quick mixes, people would actually come up to you and say, what are you doing? Why are you killing the vibe? Do you feel as though now people have a shortened attention span and they kind of want that real fast energy they can only get at a club?
Yeah, that's bring a good point there. I think, you know, like, part of that ties in with our scene here. I think we have a very, like, big pop scene in Perth. Like, kids like to go out and hear pop, and they just want to hear what they know, and lots of what they know, you know? And I think that plays a big part of it. Whereas before, it was more about the experience of going to a club.
Exactly, yeah.
Where now it's just party, you know? So
it's just so whack as well, because it's just like, you know, some DJs have the argument where it's like, you know, you should play
40% or 60% of what they know, and then play like 40 or 60% of just like new stuff to try and introduce the crowd to different things. But it is, I would definitely say it's it's more like 70-30 kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. Like for me with playing new stuff, I'm all like a bit reluctant until I know that it's an accessible song. Yeah. So like, I'll play something, but I'll be ready for it to flop and get out of there quick,
Exactly, yeah.
But if it's something that you kind of like, people are semi-familiar with, it'll work. And you can always it's always about timing and programming, like at what time of the set you're going to play it. So you would drop it early and then familiarize people, and then if it's a good track, you would then week after week play it later and later and later until hopefully it makes part of your peak set. Well, what sometimes I find now is a lot of the stuff that works is very old tracks, like back from that I Got a Feeling days, the songs that you're playing peak set, and a lot of DJs are doing it. I've heard it firsthand.
Well,
we're all playing the same stuff.
I was just about to say, like, Flow Rider Low, for example.
Yep.
And it's like, it's a classic, but it's kind of like a cheesy pop song.
It is.
But it's in almost every single DJ's playlist kind of thing.
That's right. And you got to remember, like, these kids are 18 to 21 now.
Yeah, and like that song
so they were born when
after.
Just near the release of these songs.
That's it. Yeah.
Someone said to me once, like, be careful of the set you're playing, because the kids were just being born when you're playing, when you're choosing these songs. If you're playing something from the year 2000, they're just being born. They're not going to know it. And I remember screwing my face up and thinking, what are you talking about? Like, half, 99% of my set is old stuff.
Yeah.
Especially in a peak pop set.
Yeah.
Mm.
Majority of it's going to be like the old stuff, Dynamite, TikTok, all that stuff that just works, so.
Well, mentioning TikTok though, that's why I find it so whack, because like, think about it, kids born in 2000 are going to be 21 this year.
That's right.
And then with that, TikTok has kind of like resurfaced these classics with their stupid dances and their little videos and this and that. But like, I went and did I got booked to do it was like a pool party basically, and it was like with this pool party, there were kids there that were like, a mixture of age between
Thanks, man.
mixture of ages from like 12 to like 18 kind of thing. But it's like the 14-year-olds are coming up and asking these questions, and like they were born in 2006, 2007. It's like, what the shit? Like,
it seems like the fact that around the time of house music becoming mainstream, like David Guetta, massive influence, and bringing house music to the forefront. I mean, people, obviously, a lot of people, you hear David Guetta and they're like, oh, cheese, but they don't stop to evaluate what he did for the scene.
Exactly.
Before that music, he was DJing like a trooper for a long, long time.
That's it. His old classic stuff.
French house, like he's French been around for a long time.
Pushed that,
And, like he evolved. And again, we talk about the evolution. Like any of these DJs that are still prevalent now aren't playing the same style that they're known for.
That's it.
They've adapted and stayed with the times, like Guetta, even Tiesto. I mean, Tiesto DJ'd at, I think it was the Olympics, the Greece Olympics.
The Greece Olympics.
He was at the opening ceremony playing, and he was a trance DJ.
Yeah,
and now he's Olympics. Now he's in 2021. He's got a song, in the charts.
Yeah, and that song, like, I don't like that song that much, but then, like, at the same time, I reckon it's gonna boom. It's already booming. And
it is, but the thing, you talk about these guys that have just stayed the test of time, which I think correlates to why the music, we play a lot of that old stuff.
That's it, yeah.
And that time, when I was in America, the peak of EDM was, like, just coming about 2009, 2011, when David Guetta dropped that One Love album. Yeah, and that all these off. All these DJs were then Americans just flocked to it like a moth to a flame. It was a new thing. I mean, house music started there and it made a full revolution like 30, 40 years later to being at the forefront. And they just took their American style of doing things bigger and, fireworks and explosions, and it just took off there. You know, the festivals and, Vegas was just went from like, having country music stars to having DJs at every club every day during the summer for like no reason. No reason. You'd have Tiesto playing a pool party for no reason. It was a Tuesday.
Because,
just because. And you'd have a few thousand people just in the pool going off to just house music. And it was kind of like being there and seeing that was like, wow, here we come from where house music was so underground and it never really got the attention it deserved, to seeing it being out in the open and like,
being celebrated.
Yeah, celebrated. And we never, I feel, I could be generalizing, but I feel we never really celebrated it like they did. It was like, and I think we're very proud, us, British and Aussies, when it comes to the dance music scene. We liked that it was our personal niche, and the fact that it came through into the light pissed a lot of like purists and traditionalists off. They're like, hang on, this is my thing, now it's on the radio.
Exactly.
What's happened? I'm not cool anymore.
That's it. It's like, it's not underground anymore.
It's not underground.
It's pop music.
It's
I guess
tainted.
Yeah.
But it was really just a vibe to see it. And that's when 2011 to 2013.
Well, I wanted to ask, like, so how did you get to America as well? Because like you said, you spent 6 years there.
Yeah,
7 years there.
6 years on and off. I lived there. Well, my parents broke up when I was young, and my dad moved over there. So I had a relationship breakdown, and then I had an opportunity to go over there.
Yeah,
and that kind of started the coming and going, getting to know my father and starting a life there, and then.
How was it though? Like, was it just like a new world kind of thing?
It was a new world.
And whereabouts were you again?
So most of my time was spent in Arizona. I lived with my dad there and worked there as well. I worked for Apple for a extended amount of time. And I moved back. So I moved originally in 2005. And then again, I probably spent 6 months to a year back and forth right up to 2013.
Really?
Up from 1 year, 2 years at a time here and there, and moved back and forth.
What brought you back though? Like, in a way?
I liked the fact that you could always make money here. Yeah.
Well, it's true. Like,
slot back into DJing through the contacts.
That's it. The networking, the player base you built in a way.
In other jobs, you could always pick up a job if you got half a brain and want to work. You can pick up a job if you got any kind of, desire to work. I like that about here. But what drove me back there is just a cool country, cool experiences, cool people. Like, it's just, you grow up watching America and through the movies. Yeah. And when you get there, you're like, am I in the movie? It just felt like you were in the movie.
Am I living the American dream?
Everything was big, food was big, people were big, still are. And it was just a cool experience to be part of. And so when I moved back in 2011 after I'd moved again, that's when I thought I'll give DJing a try, and I started working for Apple again, and I thought, look, I'll see what I can do. And through Apple, I made some contacts through this bar chain around America where they had a few bars in different states. I said, look, I'm DJ, can you give me a spot? So I went hanging out there quite a few times. I'd go there on like a Friday, Saturday night, hang out with the DJ, befriended the DJ, and then said, look, I DJ, can I play? Can you give me a little mix? So I did a mix. He gave me a bit of a spot. I think it was 15, 20 minutes.
Really?
Killed it.
Only 15, 20 minutes, but still.
I guess it was to like...
Just a trial.
Yeah. You're all the talk and you follow through.
Yeah. If you fuck up 20 minutes, it's not really, that's still making pick up after that.
That's 5 songs.
Yeah.
Exactly. Gave me the spot, I think it was about 11 o'clock. I played 5 songs, so obviously I brought commercial stuff. kept the dance floor going. And he's like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll speak to the manager. So from that, I got an hour slot, and over time that worked into being a night. So I had once a week, 4 hours.
Still, that's not bad.
It was
though.
good. It was kind of like 10 to 2 or like an 8 to 12 thing.
And how busy was it as well, that place?
Yeah, busy and an older crowd too.
Yeah.
So eclectic mix, pop infused with kind of like disco, bit of house, classics, that kind of thing. Love Shack, Grease, Groove is in the Heart, mixed with like Tower Cruise, David Guetta. So a good mix of stuff.
Yeah.
Which from my experience, I learned that if you want to be successful, you have to be diverse.
That's it. You got to adapt.
You have to, yeah. You go to the place, check out the vibe, and if you want to work there, you play what they're doing. You can't reinvent the wheel. You got to do the same thing. So from that, I got a gig there, and that was really cool because you got to experience the scene there, which is completely different to here. Completely different. You got like table service, which is a major part of how they do business there, which was never really adopted here.
Yeah, that's what's so whack, right?
Not to the level there.
Yeah, because like ours is like, sweaty dance club kind of thing. And it's like over there, and you sit down and you get table service.
That's right. And there was, I think the Americans did it, well, I don't want to say better, but different. It was always a classier thing. It was never I don't know, not so much the riffraff, but it was never a drunk, messy affair. People would be drunk, but it would never be to the looseness that you experience
from Aussie clubs.
That's right, Aussie culture. I don't want to generalize because, of course, people are getting loose everywhere. Yeah. But it was usually a much classier affair, in the way people would dress. Guys would dress up, girls would dress up, actual dresses, high heels. It would be more of an event. So the clientele would book the table, and then that would be there. And it's such like, when you think about it, it's such a cool thing if you're out for the whole night. I mean, you don't have to go to different places. That's your spot the whole night. You've got your alcohol there. You can leave all your stuff there. You've got your own waitress, which comes and fills up your drinks. So what you pay includes all your drinks and all your mixes. Plus you get like Red Bulls, soft drink, whatever. So you'll buy like a bottle of Grey Goose or 2 bottles of Grey Goose. And then that's your bottle the whole night. So they'll prepare your drink for the whole table there. And they'll just do that the whole night. So you can go and dance, come back, you've got somewhere to sit down, somewhere for all your stuff, and your drinks are organised all night. No lining up for a drink. It's just all there. It's expensive, but for an occasion, I think it's worth it. And obviously over there, people see the value in it.
How expensive would you say it would be? Because like, say, for example, like, the clubs over here, if you go buy a bowl of Smirnoff, it's like $300 kind of thing.
In Vegas during the peak, you'd be paying in the thousands. Really? Thousands, yeah. Wow. And that wouldn't include the tip. Oh. So that would get you a big ass bottle of Grey Goose, like the one, the Costco size. Yeah. Grey Goose. Yeah. All your mixes, like I said, ice and the service and that spot. But it's like real estate. Yeah. You got a massive club and you've got Calvin Harris, Fatboy Slim playing. You got a table. Yeah. It's a dreamboat.
That's it, yeah.
You're not just a peasant lining up all night. You're getting VIP entry straight to your dedicated area. You've made it. Yeah. You've made it in life.
So how was Vegas as well? Like, what was... Like, I've heard so many stories, and like we've also talked about things with Vegas. Like they got like the underground slums where people live.
Yeah, the underground, where homeless people live and whatnot.
Well, it's on that strip. It's just where dreams have made, and then a few streets off, it's the ghetto. Yeah, it's just night and day. Yeah, but I mean, it's one of the tourist destinations of the world, and during that house music boom, it was the place to be. It was like the new Ibiza. Every DJ that was anything wanted to play there, and they had their own nights at the hotels. So Tiesto was a resident at like NGM or Cascade, he would play at Marquee. Calvin Harris at one place, or Hardwell, anyone who was anyone. All those guys had a night there. Diplo had a night at the Win, which was way down the end of the strip. Anyone who was anyone played there, and it was cool. So any night of the week, especially in summer, you could go and see anyone. I saw like Pete Tong.
Really?
Yeah, I met up with Matt Riley. Wasteland came to see me while I was living there. We went to see Pete Tong one night. Cascade with Christian Mind Electric when I stayed with him.
Yeah, shout out Christian.
Yeah, he was mates with Cascade through him playing some of his music. So he would do warm-ups for Cascade.
That would have been sick.
Yeah, so I tagged along there. Stafford Brothers.
Really? Stafford Brothers got over there?
They were big there. They had a night at Mandalay Bay, which is another one of the hotels there.
Shit.
And a lot of these DJs would just commute between Vegas and LA, playing all the time.
Yeah, it's like the dream, right? It's like the superstar dream, I guess.
Definitely.
Because like if you're playing at Las Vegas, you're playing at Vegas, like
totally. And the sound systems, it was just the best of the best. It was like the Mecca at the time, and the crowds were just wild, loving it. And like, coming from here, like you would think like pool parties, that would be such a cool thing to have here. Like if they had at the Crown, they just had a DJ like, I don't know, and there's a renowned Australian DJ, Timmy Trumpet, come and play. And they just did a pool party. But the thing is, you couldn't do it here because the kids just wouldn't be able to handle themselves.
That's it. No. Well, they tried it at Matisse Beach Club, which is now the Lookout. And they had the little pool there and stuff like that. But it just didn't work. And then they had to sell kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you try to emulate what works there. And it just, maybe it was a case of the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And just all the stars aligned. Yeah. But it was such a cool experience. It really was. Like, I remember seeing Tommy Trash, Dirty South at one of the clubs there, and this was in the middle. Avicii,
really,
at one of the at the day club. So this is like, traditionally you would go out at night. This is people like off chops during the middle of the day on a weekday.
Yeah,
in the pool.
Yeah, Well, they say the party never stops there. Right?
Oh mate, it was.
It's like 24/7, all day, every day.
So
right?
that was really a cool time. It's cool to see it and to see the passion for people for the music that we're into, Yeah. Like it was just kind of like, this is so refreshing, It was kind of like, not that it was old and stale, but it was just a cool time.
Yeah. Well, it's just to experience that even. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
It's just, like not everyone gets to experience that kind of stuff, right?
And that was every night. Like when we were staying with Christian at the time, we would go out every night. Yeah. Every night of the week was
not surprised.
And you would get all the perks. So you would get to go in VIP, meet the DJs. Like I met Cascade.
Really?
Met Don Diablo. Stafford Brothers.
Yeah.
And you'd just be chilling with them in the room before. And then you'd be in there. The DJ had like a VIP booth behind a table behind the booth. So you could just hang out there the whole night. Such a cool experience.
It just sounds like a dream.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
It was so cool. A lot of headaches, a lot of late nights.
Yeah, I can imagine the hangovers. Like,
man.
Just get up and just keep drinking, right?
But I think it's kind of like everyone was just riding that wave, and it just felt cool being part of like a scene. Like, I don't know, maybe you could liken it to investing in something that then just takes off. And you're like, I've been there since the beginning.
Yeah.
I've been into this in my bedroom years ago when people thought this was, what are you listening to that shit for? That's not music. And then you see it rise up to this, big thing. It was really cool to be part of it.
Yeah. Pretty jealous.
Yeah.
But then like after that, so like what happened after that? Because you kind of came back and now you're just doing like weddings and functions like full time and bits of bar work and this and that, right? And
so
you play at the Court as well, like all the time.
I do play. That's a weekly gig. Very lucky to play there. Blessed. It's a cool crowd.
Yeah.
Cool people.
Such a cool venue.
Yeah, the staff there are amazing. Other DJs there are really cool. So yeah, after that time I kind of was, hitting 30 and I thought, okay, it's time to reassess things. Relationship breakdown. I'm like, am I going to stay here or am I going to go back home? Part of me regrets not staying there because I could have
taken off.
I could have just done something else, I could have done something else. But sometimes you go back to what you know. And I knew I could come back and rebuild and start again here. So I came back, and that's where I met my wife, and then got married, had a kid. But all the time keeping on DJing. So I've just had that as something, since I started that, I've never really put on hiatus. So it's been part of my life since the beginning. There's never really been an extended amount of time that I haven't done it. So it's to me, it feels like DJing is similar to a trade. Yeah. Like being a mechanic or a plumber. It's something like riding a bike that if you do it well, it doesn't matter how long you're out of it, you can get back into it because you know what to do. All it takes is sussing it out, knowing the right people. As long as you can get up there and do the right thing, smash it out, you shouldn't be out of work for too long if you don't want to be. Yeah. I know, it's a difficult industry, especially nowadays, to get regular work. Yeah. And
well, we can segue into the branding and stuff like now, because it's one of those things where it's like, you have to expose yourself in a way these days. You have to put your name out there, and like what you said before, how you went to America, you went to the bar or the club, and you just kept hanging out. Then you befriended the DJ, and then you kind of went from there. We had Ace Bassick on, who owns Nevermind Small Club, and he actually said the same thing. Like, if you want to gig at Nevermind Small Club, go hang out, go spend time there. But then it's also one of those things where it's like, go hang out, do this and do that. Maybe at other clubs, not Nevermind, but you got to have some sort of name behind you. Like,
that's right.
I remember ages ago when I used to go to Capital all the time, where it's like, if you wanted to get booked, sometimes you'd have to guarantee bring 40 people, 30 people through the doors, just to try and get the numbers up. So that way there's like almost a guaranteed spend per head, I guess you could say.
I agree with you. And I remember before I took another trip to America that started to happen, the whole movement of the promo night, where the promoters would make a night, hire the club, bring in their own crowd, bring in their own DJ. So as a club owner, that would be very lucrative because you'd be guaranteed money, so that the promoters will say, well, you take this over the bar, we bring this people, this is what we want. And if that was my business, I would be like, that proposal is pretty hot.
Yeah, it's pretty
Let's
solid
do that
kind of thing. Yeah.
So I think that's what birthed it. That's what birthed the branding. And with that came the night, and with that came the DJ. And suddenly you've got a brand. So you'd have Cheek Wednesdays at Subi.
That's it, yeah.
That was one of the big promo nights that just went off. So you've got then DJs that are no longer associated with the venue, they're associated with the night.
That's it, yeah.
So this is so-and-so from that night. So like you said, that's how branding became a thing. So no longer, if you were part of the venue, you were kind of part of the furniture. Yeah. And part of it's adapt or die. And I think for myself personally, it's something that I never really got on board with, not out of not liking it, but I think part of it was like, it's been this way for so long. Why would I start doing it now? If the work is still coming. I mean, ultimately, probably it might get to the point where I don't get any more bookings because I don't really offer enough to the branding side of it. And I think it could be to my own detriment, and I think it could upset venue and upset other DJs if I'm not pulling my part in the whole branding side of things, which is a shame from my point of view, but also it's the way that the scene's evolved.
That's it.
So it's no longer about the venue and the DJ being part of the venue. It's about the brand.
Yeah, and the social media presence behind it kind of thing.
That's right. And that's, I mean, Katie's someone that does that.
Yeah, shout out to Katie Banks. Like,
very well.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got the business side of it on lock. Posting, branding, all of that kind of thing, like leagues ahead of other people.
She's very smart with what she does. She knows what she's doing.
100%. And I think, that is such an attribute to her whole game.
Yeah.
So ability to DJ. I mean, and some people can look at that in jealousy or think, well, who are you? You've just got a big following. And people would think that, well, what does that matter? Well, actually, it does matter a lot.
It matters a
or people
lot.
can look at it and go, well, that's amazing. I wish I had that.
That's it.
So it brings two sides, I think. Anyone with half a brain would look at that and think, that's a very business savvy mind to do that, because you're just right on lock with the way things are evolving.
Yep.
So I think it's going to ultimately be to our detriment if we're not on board with that in some kind of fashion.
Exactly.
Promoting your night, promoting the venue, shouting out to the venue, tagging the venue, tagging yourself.
It's going to be so interesting to see what happens, because so many people are getting off social media these days, but then there's still such a large majority on it, and there's still a growing number.
Yeah.
But it's like, will it get to the point where it's like social media kind of just hopefully fades away? I mean, it's such a big accusation. Like, how do we know? Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But it's like, it's kind of like I said it before. It's like selling your soul to the business devil in a way, the branding devil.
Yeah.
And it's like you kind of have to get that graphic design work done. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to socialize and network. And instead of just going, I've had a rough day, and I got to put a smile on my face and go and dance around and jump around and have a good time.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, now I have to go and do this promo work, get a video done, do this, do that, and all this whole list of things.
But I think, you could liken that to burning a CD back in the day. The time you now spend on your preparation has changed to this now. And that's just part of your working life as a DJ. You'd have to keep up with your brand and do all that stuff if you want to be relevant.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. It potentially could just go that way.
Well, it's even like I've seen on Facebook and Instagram stories and stuff like that, people are now jumping on TikTok, which I mean, like, it's not so much to like just jump on TikTok and like, do dancing videos or anything, but I have DJ TikToks where it's like, you have a compilation of videos of you going out, like what your night entails kind of thing, or what's happened throughout your whole night kind of thing. And like, it's...
I think, primarily it's a way of the crowd or your followers being able to connect with you.
Well, that's it. It's like, it's getting insight into their life in a way.
That's it.
But then you have to kind of upload, like, girls do this a lot and guys do this a lot. Everybody does this. Like, being an influencer, if you've got 10,000 followers on Instagram, you kind of have to put your life on Instagram, because you keep that, that growth happening kind of thing. But then with the DJ world, it's almost, like, as I said, it's almost the same. It's just, even if you've only got 500 followers, but then out of those 500 followers, 50 people are like prominent people in the scene. Yeah. Then you still kind of like, you get that thought or mentality where it's like, all right, well, got to share what I'm doing.
That's right. And it seems like it's moved away from technical ability into the branding. And part of me being a bit of a traditionalist and a purist, it's not that I don't agree with it, and it's not that I don't like it. It's probably, and it's not that I'm sad. It's just, that's the way it's is happening now. And you have to either go with that or you're going to get left behind.
That's
and
it.
Just said that. So I mean, Mike DeWitt, another one, does it very well.
Yeah. And awesome. He's really good at what he does.
Definitely.
As well.
And he's got all the abilities to match it up. Great DJ, great promo, great brand. Yeah. And like, it's cool as someone that's not into that to look at that and see what it's like to be done properly. To see the effort that goes into the post, the effort that he puts in as a DJ, and to look at it as a package. It's a cool package. Yeah. When you watch these, you follow these big international DJs to put it all together. It's a freaking production.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a life.
It's a whole show.
That's basically right. Just their daily life. But it is a bit sad to see it move away a bit from like what traditionally a club night was, which was you going out to have a good night, and it wouldn't matter who was there, wouldn't matter who was playing.
Yeah.
It was, you were going out with your friends, you would dress up and you'd have a good night.
That's it, yeah.
The DJ it didn't matter. He was just
the guy in the corner.
He was in the corner,
keeping the vibe going,
giving you the soundtrack to your 18th, 21st, whatever. And I like that. I don't like the limelight so much.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like being the
up on the pedestal.
Yeah, I don't like it. Well, I mean, I like it in the sense I'm happy. I'll get into it. I enjoy it, but it's not about me. It's never been about me. Like, I'm employed to make that venue money when it comes to the nuts and bolts of it. And I like to keep that close to heart. And if it means later on that my career finishes because I didn't get on board with this branding stuff, then I guess part of it's kind of like, so be it, because I got left behind and I didn't really.
That's humble. That's so humble of you to be able to say stuff like that, because it's like, you know, it's not going, okay, well, I got to change it, I got to do this, I got to do that, I want to try and stay relevant. You're just like, okay, if let it just take its toll.
Yeah, maybe I've missed the boat on it a little bit.
No,
you know,
I wouldn't say that. You're playing headline sets in the court.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, that venue's a lot of fun, and shout out to the court, because they're a cool bunch of people, and the format, like, we get a lot of flexibility to play. Flexibility within a framework, you know, so you can do a lot with your sets, and it's a lot of fun, and the kids just go nuts there, you know. And it's really cool to see, and that's probably one of the biggest crowds I play to. Like, I'm there sometimes, most of the time, weekly, and it's massive.
Yeah, like the capacity outside before the lockdowns, it'd be like,
oh yeah, and
like 500 people. Or
it's
something.
nerve-wracking. The whole set for me is nerve-wracking. Even after doing DJing for so long, I need a couple drinks to just take the edge off before I get up there.
Yeah.
And then it's just 10 to 2. If you're on that late set, it's go, go, go.
Yeah.
You've got to keep them there. You've got to smash out the hits, keep up the energy. And I'm always looking out there to see the energy. And you've got to, because that's your reference point. Like, you've got to, and if you see it dying off, you can't. I mean, I don't speak for all DJs, but whenever I see the energy tapering off, I'm like, I've got to mix out. We've got to lift a little bit. You know, you got to rotate the bar a bit so you can play a few kind of not as epic songs so people will actually leave. And you're not burning yourself out, and they actually take a break, and you're rotating a little bit.
See, that's a professional way to look at it, because you have to play the crowd.
Yeah.
You have to be able to actually do that so they do have time to go to the toilet or have a break, and
that's right.
Not just continuously sweat their asses off.
And if you just go guns blazing the whole 4 hours,
you're
gonna burn all your hits.
That's it.
So,
and you burn it quickly, and then by the end of it, it's like, you know, the last half hour, the last hour, then you'll be running out, and you're like, uh-oh. Well, I mean, obviously you got to be prepared, but like, you don't want to just like play all your hits in the first, you know, hour, 2 hours.
100%. And sometimes, you know, with the vibe there, I feel you have to really push it from 10, because when people get there, they want to start partying.
That's it, yeah.
So this idea of sometimes when I get on there, okay, I'll just build for a while. I mean, it's already 10. I've got to tell myself it's already 10. You got to start caning it a bit, because you'll lose it. And you do lose it a bit. People are like, oh, well, I'll go somewhere else.
That's it, yeah.
You can't just start playing, you know.
And then that's when the bar, like, not the bar, but that's when the managers and stuff would be like, you know, well, what happens to the crowd?
Yeah, yeah.
What happens to
everyone? You have to a bit. And I like that. I do feel like that still when I DJ, because it's important to me that I do get a bit anxious. I do get a bit nervous, even if it's just a regular gig, because I think it shows to me that I've still got some passion in it a bit. Yeah. Still care about it. I mean,
that's it. Like,
the late nights are destroying me, you know, like, you know, finishing the set like that at 2 a.m. and
you get home at 3. And
trying to wind down. I mean, by the time I turn off, sometimes it's 5 o'clock.
That's it, yeah.
And then you got to turn back into being a dad and a husband again. I'm very lucky to have a wife that will let me sleep in to a certain extent. You know, I hear about it a lot that I don't like this, but you know, it's quite a lucrative industry. If you got regular gigs, you can make a good living out of it. So she understands that side of it, but also I'm kind of thinking, well, what do I do? Do I just keep sleeping until 1 o'clock every afternoon on the weekend, or how long is this gonna keep on going? So I mean,
well, I mean, it benefits your income. That's the thing. Like,
it does.
It helps out, and like it pays bills and this and that.
It does.
But at the same time, it's like if you're not spending as much time with your family, then it's like it's a double-edged sword almost.
Does. I remember I listened to your podcast with Mind Electric, and he touched on the fact that he has a hard time sleeping, and I can empathize with that. I think it comes with age a bit.
Yeah.
And the body likes a bit of regular routine. And as a DJ, you're on one kind of schedule on the weekend, and then you're trying to be on another schedule during the week.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work. You can't do it. And when you're young, you can do it for a long time. I mean, when you're young, I'm still young, but like when you're in your 20s, you can wake up, get in a fight, no problem. Drink battery acid,
yeah,
fall asleep, it's fine. But as you get older, things start to change a bit.
Yeah, it catches up with you.
It does catch up with you, so you got to, be focusing on the whole package of, being a person rather than just partying and sleeping in all day. But I am very blessed in the sense that my wife understands that that's what I do, and she...
Yeah, but you're lucky with that.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, like a lot of people, like sometimes it's not they get wrapped up in it, but it's like they just keep chasing their dream, and they don't settle down, or if they do try and settle down, they don't, eventually the wife or, whoever's just like, it's not working out because you're always staying up and sleeping till the afternoon, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it sounds like you got a very good relationship.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. But at the same time, I know it can't go on forever. I don't think it's good for my health to be up till 5 a.m. Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah.
And then trying to, like today, still from even not DJing, I'm still in, with the lockdown and everything, not DJing last weekend, still in a habit of going to bed late.
Yeah.
Like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then as a parent and as a dad, you want to be up to take your kid to school, help them get ready and stuff. And I'm like, text my wife late last night. I'm like, I need to sleep, because I just can't turn off. I'm there trying to lay in bed at 10:30. I'm like, I can't just go to sleep now. Yeah. And I envy some of these guys that I talk to that DJ, and they're like, yeah, I can just go home and go to sleep. I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah. That's
How do you do that?
Like when I've heard that as well, I'm just like, nah, that's not. You can't do that. Like, how do you go home at 5 a.m., get in bed by 6, the sun's already up, and then like just
switch off like that? I mean, maybe they can. I'm not debating whether they can or can't, but it just seems like a bit of a. Yeah, you got to wind down. I mean,
but it's also like the energy and the atmosphere you're in, kind of.
It is.
Like when I used to go to Capitol and stuff like that, and there's loud music, thumping, and then I get home at like 4, like finish up at 4 a.m., go home at 5, try and sleep, and my ears are ringing, and I just like we'll segue into like.
You got to wear plugs if you don't want the ringing.
But it's like then when I go and play places like Scarborough Beach Bar, it's not as loud, but I'll still have a fallback speaker cranked, kind of thing. But it's like, if it's a quiet night and still goes to midnight, then I can go home and I'm not like rivaled up, I guess you could say, like spun up kind of like thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like you can relax a bit in a way. It just depends on the venue in a way, right?
Yeah, you're right.
At the court, they've got some pretty awesome monitors, and they're just set like left and right.
They
turn those up, and then like you're in party mode.
Oh man, you just get in the vibe, especially early. If I'm doing an early set and it's just kind of you up there and you got that awesome sound and just get in the zone listening to the music, like it's just in stereo and it's so loud. And I like to, I'll wear the earplugs. You mentioned the ringing.
Yeah.
I think it was quite early in the piece, about 2003, 2004. Like I went to some raves and stuff, and I'd have this ringing after, like not just the next day, but for days.
Really?
Loud ringing before it would go away. And I just remember those raves, the music was so freaking loud. So loud and so thumping. Like safety. It's still not a thing. This hearing safety, it's just not a thing.
Like I don't even wear plugs, but I should wear plugs. But it's just...
I recommend it, and I started a trend of DJs getting earplugs because I think a bit more awareness needs to be put out there as to what the damage can be done. Like in my other day job, I work a lot with the elderly, helping them with IT stuff. And a lot of them were factory workers back when Australia was big in manufacturing, and they worked in very loud environments, and they're all deaf now.
Yeah.
They've all got hearing aids. And that was not a nightclub, their environment.
That's it,
I mean,
factory.
we're not in nightclubs every day, but I can guarantee that factory is not like 100 decibels
Yeah.
like these nightclubs. So it's kind of like time exposure, you know?
It is.
4 hours at 100 or 8 hours at 70, I know what I'd rather, you know? And you know, your ears got these mini hairs, and every time they get blasted, they get knocked over. And when they've got time to heal, only a certain amount of them go back up. And that's hearing loss. So I've noticed ever since I wear them, and I even wear them now to go out, and I get major anxiety if I forget them. So
Really?
I actually got 2 extra pairs to make sure that I never forget them. So I've got a pair with my headphones, a pair at home, and a pair in my DJ bag so that I never have to go without it. Because that ringing was just like, man, this is not, something's amiss. I mean, but then I talk to people and they don't even get the ringing.
That's it, yeah. Like, so for me at Capital, like, I get it for a day and then it just disappears.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, that's weird. Like, I thought I'd get this for like a while, but it's like, no. And it wouldn't even be that bad. But then I have had nights where it has been really bad, standing on stage for like, 6 hours or something like that. But it's just, as you said, it's like the exposure, like if you're going and standing right next to a speaker, then it's still really, really bad. But then if you're at a club, it's like, as we get older, we start to deteriorate.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a bit
Could
scary.
just be that too.
Yeah. You see this chart? They said that if you're anything above 100 decibels, you only have 15 minutes of constant exposure before it starts damaging your ears.
There's a decimeter at the court,
Oh,
and in the beer garden, it's at 75.
Yeah.
Actually, it's at 75 during the peak set, but that's on the stage.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Actually,
that
yeah,
So it wouldn't
translates
actually be
to.
that loud. Yeah, because you're on stage. You wouldn't. And is that behind the monitors or no?
That's kind of on the deck, like where the mixer is in front of the mixer.
Yeah.
But
'Cause the sound's not traveling there though.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah.
And when you've got the booth on, it wouldn't be that. You wouldn't turn it up to what the speaker facing the crowd would be at.
Absolutely not. No. That would definitely that would be so intense.
Yeah. So with them on, for me, it means no ringing at all, no matter how loud it is. So what they do is, if you think of like a bouncer where they wear those, or a construction worker where they wear those
The foam earplugs.
Yeah. So what they do is they muffle the sound as well as bring it down. So if you were to wear them, and I tried it once, you can't mix with them.
That's it. Yeah, it's
Can't
almost
hear nothing.
impossible. Yeah.
So the musicians' earplugs have an attenuator in them which bring the volume down. So it's just like everything's turned down, but the clarity's not sacrificed at all.
Okay.
So you can get different amounts of reduction. I think it's 15, 20, 25. I've always gone with a max. So the 25 brings the dB down 25 without affecting the quality of the sound.
Okay.
So you do turn your headphones up a little bit, but it's not enough to compensate for what the reduction in volume.
Yeah.
So you're already ahead in terms of lower sound going in.
Where did you get your pairs from?
You can get them from anywhere that deals with hearing. So the medical term for the person is an audiologist.
Yeah.
And you can just book an appointment and they'll take a mold of your ear. So they inject this kind of foam stuff in there, which hardens. It sets for a minute, and they pull it out, and they send that off and out of that mold, they'll make your earplug.
Is it expensive as well?
$250.
That's not too bad though.
But if you think of a
Yeah, once you've got them, you got them.
That's
Just don't
right.
lose them, kind of thing.
yeah, that's I've lost a few pairs.
Really?
Definitely lost a few pairs after a few drinks. Yeah, for sure. If you don't keep them in their case,
Yeah.
they can fall out. So yeah, but I think it's a worthwhile investment.
100%. Yeah.
And like I got the like I said, I got the ringing when I was younger. I'm like, this is not normal.
Can't keep happening.
No, I can't. And maybe I'm unique in terms of like, it's, I might be more susceptible than someone else. Because I've talked to other DJs and they don't get the ringing.
Yeah. Or it's just they're not playing in a loud enough club.
That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a bunch of pussies, bro. Maybe there's
That's right.
Just not using the monitor.
These are really good. These are really good cheap options.
Yeah, they are.
$5.
Yeah. And they reduce it by 20 dBs, and they don't muffle it at all.
Yeah.
They're really good. Really, really good, actually. That's what I find.
Even the photographer at the court, he was looking into it. So I didn't really dive into the conversation with him, but I would say for him to be looking into it, potentially there's some pain involved around being in an environment with music that loud.
Yeah. I can understand that, yeah.
And it can hurt. It can be painful. So
You can get migraines, the whole lot from it potentially.
it's just part of the DJ bag now.
Yeah.
It goes part if I'm at a wedding, corporate function, club, pub, I'll put it in unless it's the kind of gig where you're just playing to the walls and the volume's kind of like doesn't get much like a Sunday sesh, for example.
Yeah.
It's not loud.
Chill kind of
That's
thing.
why I won't put them in.
Yeah.
But anything where even when you're in a crowd of people, like it's a loud environment, it gets people's voices.
Yeah.
It gets pretty loud.
You can, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'm just old.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear those fuckers on a good day, eh?
That's it. So yeah, that's just part of the DJ bag, and I'm busting for a slash. Can I go out real quickly?
Yeah, we've only got 5 minutes left anyway.
I was gonna say we should give
Okay.
this to Boston Switch, not just for like earbuds, but also because they're great for
surfing.
keeping the water out.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well,
because they're great for
if you-
swimmers.
if
Because you
need
get
to go
swimmers
as well,
here.
we can wrap things up because we've covered so many topics and everything.
Well, I'm happy to talk for a little bit longer.
All right, well, quickly
I'll be right back.
go piss on the backyard or somewhere, like around the corner. All right, I'll just sit here and entertain myself. Hello, Damien.
There you go, man. There you go.
Yeah, so what do you think about tonight's episode?
I think he's going pretty damn well,
Yeah, I'm
actually. I like
enjoying
this
it.
guy. He's a good dude.
Yeah, Dale's pretty awesome, honestly.
Yeah, no, I like him. No,
He's
it's
very knowledgeable on a lot of different things.
I think it comes with the experience, man. I think anyone
Well,
who's
20
ever...
years is a long time.
And I think the craziest thing about this guy is the fact he's been, I think, playing in America for 6 years and playing in Las Vegas. Not just like...
Well, no, he said he never got a gig in Las Vegas. He played Arizona.
Oh, no.
But he also said he played in Chicago. We should talk about that one.
Because the thing is, Chicago has its own very unique. It actually has its
Chicago
own
House.
genres.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Chicago House. Actually,
100%. When he gets back, yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a really little power. No, but actually, I was gonna say, I was gonna make a joke, being like, "Oh, he played in Las Vegas. He didn't play in some like fucking podunk shithole in Wyoming or like Wisconsin."
Oh, is that right? All right, here we go. So, you told us before, right?
Yeah.
Before we started, that you played in Chicago.
I
as
did.
well.
I
So
did. I
how
got
did
a
that
few
come
gigs
about?
there. So I met a guy in Arizona. It was part of the contacts when I got that the gig that from hanging out in that bar. Got the gig. Met him, and he was kind of a big shot investment guy, right? That wanted to be a DJ. You know, the people that, I don't know if it's a people, but
What's that music festival though? What's that massive music festival in Europe?
Coachella?
No, not in Europe.
Tomorrowland?
Yeah, Tomorrowland. And you told me one of the CEOs was one of the CEOs who doesn't even DJ, but he still booked a slot out so he can do a set.
it was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Just a big shot investment guy that wanted to be a DJ.
Yeah.
So anyway, he had a place out in Chicago. We befriended him, and he was DJing all around Arizona. So kind of like Vegas, all the cities with good weather, like California, Arizona, Nevada, Florida. in summer, even the regular clubs were day clubs that would have a pool and they'd have pool parties. So he was DJing at those kind of things. Not a very good DJ, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's got money. So.
That's right. Yeah. So I teamed up with him and I got some gigs with him, and he's like, well, I'm going to Chicago. Do you and your girlfriend want to come? We're just going to be there for a week or two. You can stay at our place and come out and DJ at some of the places I go to. I'll hook you up with some sets. So we went over there and played at a few venues, 3 venues in Chicago. One was the Mid, which is a big club there. One was Public House and another one was Proof, and I did like 4-hour sets at each, and it was just a cool experience, you know, just playing in a new city. Yeah, like, and the crowd was up for it, the vibe was cool, and I'm like, far out, I'm playing in Chicago, like this is like the birthplace of house music.
Yeah, that's it.
So that was really cool. That was a really cool experience. Friggin' cold in the middle of winter, but and summer we went and looked at like a whole different, it like took us on a tour of different clubs, and some of like these underground house clubs, and all I remember is the quality of the sound system was just like, I've never heard sound like that before.
Yeah.
Like these
like
guys do it properly, like the bass. Oh man, it was just like heaven. You know when you just got a really good pair of headphones and you're like, man, you just hear every part of the track. So that's what I remember from those venues.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool experience, cool city.
And they were just like massive clubs as well, kind of thing?
The Mid was a really big club. I've actually got, I might send you a video of, I've got a little snapshot of like 10, it's like a 10-second snapshot that someone took of me playing, and it was pretty heaving. It was really cool.
Have you got it available now?
I don't. It's on my computer. I remember looking at it a few months back. But
well, we can share it in the comment section.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, awesome. I'll send it through.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. This is again at the peak, 2011 peak of house music. I think I was playing like "Feel So Close," Calvin Harris, like that had just came out.
Yeah.
You know when you're just playing like a song that just was on the radio?
Yeah.
We're still playing it now, like 10 years later.
It, yeah.
So
and it's still popular to all hell. Anything Calvin Harris is popular.
Yeah, man. So
like even Acceptable in the 80s. And that's like one of his very, very first tracks.
I play for a cool like Sunday session. I play Merry Making all the time from that album. Sick album. But yeah, that was a cool experience. Chicago, such like being in a big city like that. I don't know if you've been to New York or.
I've been to Hong Kong, but you can't really compare Hong Kong.
That's a big city.
Yeah, it's a huge place,
but it's like America, a whole nother ecosystem. You know, people. When I first went there, I'm like, you know, when you're from somewhere like this, you don't realize that people actually live in the city. Yeah, like the downtown area. That's where they live.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Like, it's not somewhere you just visit. That's where they live. And I remember thinking that. So it's just like, just a different way of living.
And it's not like, you know, because like in Perth, say like, you know, in the city, you can say maybe 100,000, 200,000 people live there.
Yeah.
A place like Chicago, it's probably millions of people that live in the city.
Oh, man.
It just never stops, but it's just like, that's how they live. Like,
yeah.
kind of thing, like.
And still record DJs, DJs using vinyl.
Really?
That was 10 years ago, but probably a lot of places were still using, a lot of DJs were still using vinyl. But yeah, I learned, I did start on the CDJ 100s, but I did learn to play vinyl, and the second set of decks I bought were 1200s.
Really? Technic 1200s?
1200s. And like I said, playing with like Scooby and Danny Boy, they were on right up until I think they stopped DJing. They were using Serato with records. I think Frankie at the Court still uses that phase system, which is on records anyway. So they're still alive and well.
Yeah.
You know? And
well, it's kind of become more of a niche market in a way, I'd say.
Yeah, the aesthetic. I mean, if you're a club owner and you know, if you're going for that authentic vibe, I would want a DJ to be playing their own records, especially if they're visible. It just adds to the atmosphere.
That's it, yeah.
I mean, maybe the young crew wouldn't care so much in a good way. Like, it just doesn't matter what medium the DJ's using, but I think it just looks cool.
Yeah.
You know, just the tactile nature of it, you know. And
exactly, like putting your finger on the side.
that's right, the
slowing down, speeding up.
non-digitalness
Yeah.
about it. Like and when you mix, it's just you're actually doing it. Nothing's doing it for you.
That's
You got to line it up. You got to wait till that first beat is there, and then you got to let go, and then you still got to carry with it. There's no quantize button.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, and they don't. If you just leave two playing, they're not just going to keep going at the same BPM.
No way.
You're going to have to. You have to adjust it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's definitely a skill to have, like in the industry. I'd say, like everything's kind of, like I said to you before, I'm just a tractor DJ. I've always been a tractor DJ, and I don't even know how to use Pioneer, to be honest. But I wish I did learn vinyl to start off with, like probably a lot of people would say as well. But it's like the roots of like where it started, kind of thing.
It does, and this is the thing which when you talk about the branding and you talk about DJing, like it's almost part of it. Like in a way, it doesn't mean anything, and the more that time goes on, when you say you learnt on records, what does it translate to? It's like what does it mean?
Yeah,
you're just old.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
you learn on tractor. I mean, that's your
that's my
the
thing.
way you do it now is like that's the way you do it, and it doesn't matter how it was done before.
Yeah,
and I don't know, like, do DJs, do people that are in the industry look back to how it was done? I
can imagine some people would, maybe, but like, the way I've always looked at it is like, say like playing guitar, playing a piano. So if you play a piano, there's so many different types of pianos. There's so many different types of guitars, and there's so many different types of this and so many different types of that. But it's like if you go and learn a guitar and it's got,
7 strings.
Yeah, 7 strings, or it's a Gibson, or it's a Les Paul, or well, Gibson Les Paul's the same thing, right?
Yeah, Gibson Les Paul.
But
No.
Oh, I don't know, but
what is it? Just like
I'm a drummer, man. What the fuck?
Like a limited edition?
Oh no, it's just like a brand kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, the way
they have different feels. They absolutely have different feels.
And it's like, learning on. Sure, you can translate your skills from one to the other, but it's like if you just use that, then that's your craft kind of thing.
I've heard that. I heard that from guitarists. They say they have guitars that sound amazing and look amazing, but they feel terrible to play.
Yeah,
and they just have to put them down.
Yeah, right.
It's like shit.
But when you've got the club industry standard, which means to a certain extent you can bring the equipment you play on to the venue, sometimes to your own detriment, because then you got to move all the gear, set up your own thing, and I would feel like a bit like, oh god, I got to bring my own shit because I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to work on what's in the club.
See, that's what a good friend of mine has always said to me, where it's like, I should learn the Pioneer. But then I just feel like if I was to use the Pioneer, I wouldn't be... The skill set I've got on tractor would not be as good as if I tried to do it on Pioneer.
Yeah, part of that would be relying too much on the technical a bit,
Exactly, yeah.
And then the technical so much doesn't matter. When you could just drop hits, get the same reaction.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think, I could do all this cool stuff, but who's really...
impressed by it.
Is someone going to go, oh man, that was an amazing mix? Really? It's 2 a.m. and I've had, 10 shots.
Yeah, that's
Just play Mr. Brightside, how you get to that is irrelevant.
Yeah.
But I know, I mean, DJs pride themselves in their ability, and there's nothing wrong with that.
It's also one of those things where I just I go out and have so much fun on it.
Yeah,
I know
the
how
comfort.
It works. Yeah, I know how it works inside out, and I'm comfortable on it. So that way, it's like I can try new things and do this and do that, and like even though someone might not come up and go, oh, it was really good. It's just still like I can walk away and like, oh, I've learned how to do this cool little mix, and I've learned how to do that.
That's right. But then you look at the records, which if you look at like an R&B hip hop DJ, and if they're emulating what records did anyway, they're limited to what that format could do.
Exactly.
So if they're using records, they can't do loops.
Yeah.
unless they use the digital portion of that.
That's
but if you're
exactly
trying to emulate the original craft, you're limited to what that can do. I mean, even with the Pioneer, the CDJs, I really don't use much of the functionality, and I don't feel I need to learn it. Like if I'm in a hard place, I'll loop. I rarely use the hot cues. I'll just I like looking at the waveform, but I'll fast forward to the part I need.
Yeah.
I haven't tagged all of my songs. I remember talking to Ben Renner about how he organized his music, and he still said to me that he just uses the folders.
Yeah, that's what he said on the podcast when I interviewed him as well.
Yeah,
he
I actually saw
his
him.
Thumb drive in, and goes away he goes.
I went to, I think I was hanging with him in the booth, and I saw the folder symbol on the CDJ, and I'm like, are you just using the folder? And then I saw the waveform line up as the song was playing, and I'm like, you're just using the folder. I mean, that's an old school way of doing it, you know? Like,
that's it, yeah.
You're not using any functionality of the CDJ other than playing the music and knowing your music.
That's it,
Which I think sometimes the technology takes away from the knowledge of the music. You're using all these functions, loops and buttons and shit.
And effects and everything.
Well, what if you didn't have that? I remember back in the day, actually, a lot of guys would cover up their computer, their laptop, if they were playing with Serato or the CDJ. They'd put a piece of paper over it so they could focus on not being dependent on the computer. It was interesting to see, yeah.
I've heard of actually people doing that before
Yeah.
in the past, because it's just like that way they learn their music.
That's
kind of
right.
thing. And
Yeah.
then when they learn their music, then they know it back to front.
That's
So
right.
that way they're comfortable with it, and then they can go and use all the functionality and this and that. Because
Yeah.
then after they already know their music, then they can just add little things to it, I guess you could say.
When I first started playing at the court, I used to hang out there quite a bit to try and find out what the other DJs were doing, and then I was very into beat mixing. Like, I wouldn't need intros and outros, but I would like to make sure that the mix was on time. So you know, even if you could mix within 8 beats, start the mix within 8 and be done. So, you know, like the first part of the chorus be out, so you could do mix quick. But then I'd watch Matt Wasteland at the court, and he would mix radio edits, different BPMs, in and out, dropping, playing like 4 beats matched, and then instantly moving the tempo slider from like -10 up to 0 to change the beats per minute straight away. And I was like, wow, this is different. I'm not used to this, you know, like I'm either in and out, like dropping a song at a function with no beat matching or beat matching. You know, it took till like a few years ago to realize that there's other ways to do it.
That's it, yeah. Well, see, I've even had friends that have come watch me play and been like, I've never seen anyone mix the way you mix.
Yeah.
But then the way I do it, it's just like, it's in my own way, I guess you could say. But like, it's like what I said with the whole thing with guitars. It's like, you know, if you pick up a guitar, you're not going to be the same as Jimi Hendrix. You have your own style. You have your own rhythm kind of thing. And the way you go about doing it. And it's just like being comfortable. That's like what we said before. Like,
that's what sets all the DJs apart, having their own style.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing about it is there really is no format. There really is no way to do it. There's just
no shortcut either.
No shortcut, no long route. It's just whatever works. And I think that will never change, is what the person can bring to the game. Whether it be branding, ability, everyone is pretty different, and that's the cool thing about it. Like, you'll never go and really hear the same set.
That's it, yeah.
If you're hearing a different DJ play, you know, like everyone's different, and that's the cool thing about it.
And it's also like, one thing I wanted to add on to that though as well, it's like, at the end of the day, you still have to know your music regardless.
You
and
do.
if you don't know your music, well then...
I still prep sets weekly, playlists, to make sure I'm not repeating too much. So Wednesday comes around, if I'm playing on a Friday, I'll put together 50 songs, date it, and then put that in Record Box and make sure that that's pretty much as different as possible from the last set.
Yeah.
And that's just a given because you don't really want to be...
Yeah, playing Venga Boys week in, week out.
That's right. And for a lot of venues and DJs, it's okay. And that's okay to play the same set. And we do a lot of the time. Play the same songs week in, week out.
Well, I was discussing this with a really good friend of mine the other day, where it's like figuring out the formula. And when I say figuring out the formula, it's like, you know, if I go and play at this place and this is the crowd and this is the vibe, then if I play XYZ every Saturday, and it's like the cliche thing of like how a lot of DJs are putting Dancing Queen into their music.
Yeah.
But it's like at the end of the day, you have to keep the punters happy.
That's right.
And the same punters won't go week in, week out. You know, they go different places. They go
That's
do this,
right.
they go do that.
Yeah.
And if you're playing at like, you know, Scarborough Beach Bar, like me, right, then if I have to play Dancing Queen every Saturday, it works though, and I get a dance floor going.
Yeah.
It's getting to the point I'm over the song. I'm completely over the song.
Yeah.
But I can try and mix it in different ways to just like make
That's
it
right.
still a bit fun. But at the same time, it's just like, it's the formula, I guess you could say, to dance floor fillers.
Do you get those like times where you do a good mix and like, damn, those songs go well
That's
together?
it, yeah.
You know? And you're
That's
like,
what I was saying
wow,
before, where it's like practicing on my own equipment, then like, holy shit, like that just works so well.
and I wish there was a way of recording that. But a lot of times I'm like, meh. And then you just get on with it, but you're like, wow, that mix was awesome. I actually bought this cool piece of kit called EverMix, and what you can do with it, and I use it from time to time, you plug it into a mixer, you plug it in, the other end goes into your phone, and you can record your set to your phone, and then post it to your socials straight away.
Do you know that I record all my DJ sets?
Really?
I have 692 mixes uploaded on my Mixcloud at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've got to check that out. That's the unit there.
But that's because of Tractor. Tractor's got an inbuilt recorder.
Right. And do you have to activate that?
Yeah, you just press a button.
You push,
and then
right.
it just records. And the reason why I started doing that was because I thought, well, I want to get into the industry, but what's something that not everyone does? They don't record their sets. You know, lots of people make their own sets at home or do this or do that. But for me, it's a reference.
Yeah,
because
cool.
then I can look back and go, well, I've played here, 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 and I've played at Scarborough Beach Bar 42 times now, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then that way also I can listen back and go, okay, well, Scarborough Beach Bar 10, what was I playing back then? And then compare it to 42 and then go, okay, well, I'm going to do this and do that.
Yeah, that's good.
Because it's like with this, for example, like with the podcast, every episode I rewatch again.
Yeah.
And the reason why I rewatch it is because then that way I go, I was fiddling with something. I shouldn't have been doing that. Or I was saying this word too much. Or I was stuttering or whatever. It's like self-improvement, I guess you could say. And that's where, like, with my own DJing, I would say that I've managed to learn so much because I re-listen to my mix like, oh, I fucked that up. It's like, can't do that mix again, or I need to do this, or, you know, think about, okay, this is why I stuffed that up. Maybe I should try doing something different just to make it sound better, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, that's cool. I think if
fun fact about
people
me.
did more of that in their everyday life, would live in a much better place.
Yeah.
People constantly being more reflective. I like that feature of the CDJs records your history of the player, and then when you reload that USB to your computer, it will upload all the tracks you've played.
Oh, really?
And the order you've played it.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you're using one USB and you're linking the two, that whole night, whatever you've played will be recorded. So then you can what I do is turn that history into a playlist through Rekordbox, and then you can file that playlist. So it's kind of the same thing, except you don't get the audio of how it happened.
Yeah.
You get the track list, and then you can use that to build on. And Serato had that inbuilt as well. You could, every song you played, it would record to your history, the playlist, and that's a good reference. But it also can be a bit of a devil in disguise, because you can sometimes go back to it too often. If you get a playlist that worked, it does, you kind of stifle your creativeness, because you're like, this was a banging playlist. I'll just do that again.
And see, I do that as well sometimes. Where
You know, and everyone would be lying if they didn't do that.
That's exactly it.
They do it.
Yeah, but that's also like what I said, where it's like the formula in a way. And so you kind of go, okay, well, this I like this playlist worked. You know, I'm gonna steal parts out of that, and then let's see how it works. Oh, it's working again. just keep like referring back to it. But then it's not creativity in a way.
It's not, and it's interesting because sometimes when I play, you're going through your songs, and depending on how you're mixing or you're playing, I like to sometimes go by BPM. So if I'm doing a long set, I'll start at like 80 BPM and just work my way up through the BPM.
That's all I ever do.
Yeah.
I just go, okay, like, well, what I do is like I go into the venue and go, okay, well, they're already playing. Like, I'll sit there on the DJM and just tap away and go, okay, the song playing at the moment is 96. I'm going to start at 96 then. Or I go in there and say, oh, it's 120. I'll start at 120.
Yeah.
And then that way I can just go wherever I want from that location kind of thing.
No, that's good. I think that's a good way to do it. But sometimes I find if I start on the lower BPMs, if I don't move quick through the BPMs, then you're just kind of stuck there and the night is late. But also what I've also learnt is there's a lot of music at all different BPMs.
That's it.
So you can do it. What I started to do at the court a bit is after hearing Matt play, he would hang around a lot in like the 80s, you know, and then like play half beat stuff that was at 160, which would also be 80. And I would now find that I incorporate a lot of that into my set. So I'll go around 128, 80, 90, 100.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of cool songs at those BPMs.
That's it. And it's also one of those things where it's like hip hop is, hip hop's like between like 72 or something to like 80, no, like
100,
yeah,
105.
Like 105, yeah. But then it's like, even though it's quite slow, and it's like, that's where hip hop is though.
Yeah, that's right.
And so like, if you go up and you start playing house music, or it's upbeat, but then you work your way up to 140 or 150 and then you just half it and then you go back
that's
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you throw them in there.
100%. And that just creates these like cool diverse sets, which has probably been an evolution for me in the past like 4 or 5 years, is to incorporate all different types of BPMs into the same set and like chop and change different styles of mixing, like dropping more, like, you know, to bang, just smash it in there, you know, and less traditional beat matching mixing, like long 16 beat intro to outro is just a thing of the past.
Well,
now.
you just got to be creative with it.
Yeah.
You know, like one trick I've started doing, like there's a guy called Richard Cheese, and we probably should wrap up everything up soon.
Yeah, sure.
But there's this guy called Richard Cheese, right? And he actually was in Las Vegas, and what he would do is he would do like
swing covers.
Yeah, like swing covers.
Right.
So he's done things like Killing in the Name of, you know, Down with the Sickness. And there's one that I always use, and it's Welcome to the Jungle.
Oh,
and so with that, it's like, it just builds on, it's like, welcome to the jungle kind of thing. And what will happen is after a certain point, I'll put a delay on it, let it echo out kind of thing. And then I'll just bring in like, not Missy Higgins, like,
Missy Elliott?
Missy Elliott kind of thing. I'll bring in like, you know, Missy Elliott, like Work It or something like that. But since it's like, it changes everything up, everyone's looking at you like, what the hell's this shit?
Yeah, that's right.
And then it's just like, you go straight to that, and you can, because that song is 122 or something like that. So if I'm already at house music, when I go and bring that in, then everyone's kind of like, okay, what the shit's going on?
Yeah.
And then you just throw in a banger after that, and then everyone's just kind of like, all right, well, I guess we're going back to the groove kind of thing.
For sure. Yeah. No, that's it. You just want to have that.
You just want to have fun with it.
That's right. And I think, you know, the times I've got the most compliments is when it's been the most diverse set, touching multiple genres of music, doing different stuff. And that's, my style would be that. You know, it wouldn't be just a traditional
just a house
one genre
DJ,
set in
like
all of the sets. And you can incorporate that. Like if I'm playing at the old synagogue in the front room there, it will be chilled house, soul classics, funk, relevant like new stuff, you know, and old stuff. So it'd just be a mix of it all in the same kind of BPM. Yeah. So the playlist would be like, you know, 110, but there'd be like 50 years in the music. And the people want that. I feel that people like to hear that.
Well, it's like what we said ages ago, where it's like we're in a weird bubble where, you know, like going out to a pub and playing Queen, but then also going to a nightclub and playing We Will Rock You. People still get down to it, kind of thing.
That's right.
And it doesn't have to be just Mackie G tour day in, day out kind of thing.
Actually, I was at the court and they don't really it's really a zero tolerance for that in the beer garden anyway.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. They don't want the vibe for that, and I agree with that.
Yeah. That's
and the
completely fair,
kids were holding it up. They were holding up the phone to her. And this guy was holding it up and his mate started holding it up it was honestly 15 minutes. They just kept holding it up. So I'm like, fuck, they're just not going to give up. So I got out my phone and got out their Instagram and I wrote on my phone, "Tour your mum," and I just held it up there, and they were like, "Oh my god, they just went like this. Oh, like, you've just killed us," and they're like, that was a good one, and they just stopped. But I mean.
It gets like that though, because they want the attention in a way. I've found
that's right.
When they request a song and I've played gigs where like kids have come up to me and said, "Oh, can I mix a track?" And I'm like, "No, you can't, because I'm using Tractor." But they'll be tipsy and be like, "No, but here's my thumb drive. Put it in your laptop." I'm like, "No, like I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm getting booked to play."
I know.
You're not.
I mean, I find it disrespectful.
Yeah, it is a little bit. I had that at Kalamunda Hotel, and the kid wouldn't let up. I had to get the security guard be like, "Get rid of him."
It's really like a disrespect to your craft and like what you're doing. Like they don't understand. Like a request is okay, but I find that it's like I take it as like, well, you're not happy with what I'm doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you might say, "Oh, well, I just want my song played." I'm like, well, no. This isn't about you.
That's it. It's about everyone.
That's right. And I'm with the major school of thought there, and you shouldn't play the request unless it's appropriate and you feel like doing it. Yeah. There's no obligation to play it.
See, we get that at the market grounds all the time, where like girls will come up and be like, "If you played hip hop, everyone will get down to it better." And it's like
it's a complete lie.
Yeah, exactly. I just point and like, look, she's got her hand up. He's got his hand up. He's getting down and dancing to Jesse's girl. Like, why? No, we're not playing hip hop.
I've had that so many times. If you play this now, people will dance. And I've just said, if you left now, no one would care.
Just straight up shut them down.
It's just let me do my thing. How about I come to your job on Monday and I stand next to you and tell you how to do it?
Yeah, it's
the same kind of thing. It's like you said, you're booked to play. That's what you're there to do.
You're booked to do a job.
Leave it. If I wasn't good enough, I'll never be back, or you'll never see me again.
That's it. Yeah. And it's like 9 times out of 10, you barely ever see them again.
That's right.
And if you ever see them again, you're just like, look, it's you. I remember you.
I kind of think, wouldn't they think that if you're at that venue DJing, that you want to do the best you can for the crowd?
But sometimes people just don't care. Yeah,
they've been drinking, they're off their face, and they're, and that's part of it. When you're drinking or you've had some kind of
substance
night
abuse.
Enhancement substances. You want, you like to do things you like to do. You want to hear music that you like. And I think that's just an extension of that. Like if I was at home or if I was at a mate's place, we would want to hear that. So they're just like, I want to pretend I'm at my house or at a party, play what I would be playing in my car or at my mate's house or with my girl or whatever, and they just want to do that there. They don't see the big picture.
That's it. And see, I find that at weddings as well. Like at a lot of weddings I've been doing, it's not so much the bride, because it is the bride's night, but it's like the bride's grooms, or it's like, it's
the bridal
like
party.
The bridal party kind of thing, or it's just like people that are just there and they're just drunk and being annoying. Yeah, and they're like, no, but they'll love it. Don't worry about it. And it's like, you kind of can't be an ass to them, but at the same time, it's like, dude, just go away. Like, I'm sorry. Like, no.
You could never, unless you had some kind of board meeting with these people on a Monday morning, you could never explain to them what you're trying to do as a DJ and what you're trying to achieve, because it's like talking to a brick wall.
Yeah, it can be sometimes.
Especially at the weddings and these Karens and Susans.
Yeah,
they don't care.
That's it.
They've got an idea of what they want, and it doesn't matter what you say.
That's what's so bonkers as well. Like, it's one of those things where sometimes people just look down on someone being a DJ.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, obviously there's perks and stuff like that, but it's like we're all human.
Well, I still, I still get asked by friends, old acquaintances, oh, so how's that working out for you? Or how's that, are you still DJing? Oh, I thought you would have stopped that, you know? Like, wasn't that just a hobby?
Yeah, it's like, no, screw you. Like, you have no idea.
Yeah, I've done it.
You enjoy your office job.
Raised a child on it. Got married on that income.
Yeah.
So I must be doing okay.
That's it, right?
It's not taken seriously.
Yeah.
It isn't taken seriously.
And that's where it's like that stigma of, it's like, are you still going to be DJing when you're 40? And I go, yeah.
I'm almost 40 and I'm hopefully still be doing it.
That's it, right? Like,
there's plenty of other guys doing it too.
Yeah. Like one of my closest mates, he's almost 50. And it's just like, who cares?
For me, when I'm at a place like a Sunday session and you get someone that's come for a beer and they come up and say, this is such good music. We've had such a good time.
Yeah.
Listening, your music selection's been great. That for me is like, this is heaven, what I do it for.
Yeah, that's it. It's
this is some guy that's come with his mates or his woman or whatever, and they're letting you know that you've done a good job.
Yeah.
Or they walk past and say, man, this is great. Like genuine. Not just a fist pump.
Yeah.
But they've actually take the time out to say, this is really good. That's really what it's about.
That's it.
Like you're providing the soundtrack to these people's lives.
Yeah.
You know, whenever
Whilst
you do it,
venue,
they're going out, they're living their life, and you're providing the music for them. That's how I see music. You know, you'll and that's what it, for me, what it's stemmed from and what it will always be about is the music. And when you hear songs, it can take you back to that moment you heard it, you know, and you have that memory attached to it, you know. And the songs I choose remind me of what I was doing at a certain time of my life. Like I love the Gorillaz.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan as well.
I love playing them. I like playing like old disco, like Aretha Franklin and Donna Summer.
Yeah, good old Donna Summer.
That kind of stuff. It's like I listened to that stuff growing up.
You know, and it takes you back. Yeah.
That song's part of it. It has meaning. You know, and for me, it's about the music. You know, it's always going to be out. And I still, from the amount of time I've been doing it, as I've kind of got older, I'm not as secular as I was about music. Like, I like all types of music now. And after being in America, I love country music that I never thought I'd be listening to. And since I've been at the court in the past couple of years, pop music. You know, there's good pop music.
That's it. Yeah.
There's good stuff and like. The drum and bass, dubstep, you know, like.
Well, that's what I always say to a lot of my guests and stuff like that. Where it's like, with all genres, there's a lot of shit music and there's a lot of good music.
Yeah,
you just have to wade through the shit to find the gold.
That's it. That's it. And it should always be about the music. And I think that's why people still go out. And when you see them having a good time, singing along, it's about the music, and it's such a like pivotal part of our life. Music, you know, like
it is. Yeah,
in every good and bad and mediocre time, there's music involved in it, you know, through sadness, through good times, mates, relationships, you know, like if you break up with someone, there's songs that remind you of that, or the song when you got together with someone, you know. I remember I was at the court with my wife now. It was We Found Love, Calvin House was playing on the dance floor, and wherever we hear it, we're like, that's our song.
That's
you know?
it, right?
And so many, and like experiencing it through a child now. You know, she's like, Dad, can you put that on my playlist? Can you put that in my playlist? She's like, is this an original or is this a remix? I'm like, this is the remix. She's like, can you put it in my playlist? I'm like, and seeing that for her too, you know, such a cool experience.
It would be, yeah.
You know, like music is so like fundamental.
It
can help people through a lot of things, and they actually do a lot with elderly with dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff. Putting headphones on them and music therapy like can help with these debilitating diseases. So I think the power of it's quite underestimated.
It is, yeah.
Like,
well, music is knowledge. Music is power.
Yeah, I remember, you know, blazing it up a few times, putting on some headphones and listening to music. Amazing.
It just takes you away.
Oh, you listen to all the different components. You know, sometimes you listen to music and you just hear it, but sometimes you listen to it and you hear all the components and how like it comes together to create what it is.
It's art.
It's
It
everything.
is.
It hits you, and then there's like that moment where you realize that, and it just wows you, doesn't it?
Yeah. I love it for that reason.
Yep. All right.
Cool, man.
Yeah, let's wrap things up.
Cool. Yep.
Before we do, Tim Preston has been commenting a fair bit.
Oh, shout out to Tim.
Yeah, he says when COVID's over, Vegas baby. Yeah, exactly.
Tim's a legend, honestly.
Yeah, he said, did you used to go to Rise back in the day?
Definitely Rise, man. Simon, the owner was the DJ back then.
Yeah.
And trance. When I first went there was like when I first turned 18. Rise and the church on Lake Street there would play trance.
Yeah.
The church would have like DJ Pinto and DJ Fusion, and they would play all the trance hits. That's when Sandstorm just came out. You know, that time. Rise, yeah. And they actually did. Remember Britty saying that Rise did a throwback night I think it was last night or the year before, where they just played all that stuff.
Yeah.
I couldn't get to it, but that would have been cool.
Yeah, like a flashback kind of thing.
But can you imagine now going out and like trance being the music that's on in the club? That would be just wild.
Yeah, but just the kids would just be like, what is this?
What is this?
There was what's it called? What's that pub called? What's that bar called? I forgot. It was, damn it, it's really amazing. But they did a psytrance night, and I remember like it was all white.
Sewing room.
Yeah, the sewing room. The sewing room did a psytrance night, and it was just like the crowd there was there for like psytrance.
Really?
They were like there. It was like all psytrance from like 8 till 4 a.m. and the crowd there was there until like 3 a.m. and they were just. It was like a very small but extremely dedicated crowd.
Yeah,
it's what you wanted.
That's cool.
And everyone was dressed in white. It was sick.
That's the cool thing, because it doesn't matter as the DJ what you play. You're guaranteed not to lose anyone because you stick to that genre.
You're set.
You can't miss.
Yeah.
That's what I really like admire about the old school days, is because those DJs just had it made. They didn't have to work for anything. They were the conductor of that journey, and the crowd was just in their hands. They could do whatever.
That's it, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, and on that note, I think we should end the conduction. The conductor should end the right now.
Yeah. Well, it's episode 60, and holy shit. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Pleasure.
This has been great. And you definitely come back on.
Cool. You guys are doing a great thing. It's really cool to.
Thank you.
I've listened to quite a few of them, and it's really cool just to have it on in the car, listening to other people that you've never met in the same state, doing what they do. So it's
and
really
sharing
cool.
the same passions kind of thing, right? And talking about just what gets them in, what gets them up in the morning kind of thing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Damo, as well.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. You got so many more episodes to come. I hope you realise.
Oh, I know. Hey, man, I've already realised that a long time ago.
And then tomorrow we've got Kieran on, who's an acoustic act, acoustic guitar singer-songwriter.
Cool.
And he's made music videos and he's done quite a few things. So it should be very interesting to pick that apart and talk to him about everything. So let's wrap it up. All right.
That's you, man.
We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Please wave to the camera.
All right. Damo makes us wave.
It's
never
fun.
had to do this, but all right.
You don't have to. You don't have to do not indulge in any of this.
All right. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Catch ya.